So today we're learning about graphing inequalities. On your calculator, you go to apps, it's option 7, inequals. And if your calculator has the app on it, you're going to hit apps, which is right here. You're going to hit inequals, which is option 7, hit enter. And when you go to y equals, this will pop up at the bottom if you have that app. So if I want it to be a less than, I simply hit F2, I believe. So I have to hit alpha F2, and it changed that. Instead of it saying equals, it changed it to a less than. So if I hit graph, you'll notice that when it graphs the line, it's going to shade for me. Yes? And if I reset my window, because I'll show y'all, it'll look better this way. So I'm going to do 10. Why won't it let me go down? I don't know what's going on with this calculator. Oh, here we go. I see. There we go. So if I hit graph, it'll look better right here.
Wow.
So do y'all see the line right there? Do you see that it's not solid? That's because it's a less than and not less than or equal to, and then it's shaded below because less than is going to be shaded below. Does that make sense? So if you don't have that app on your calculator, I'll need to figure out how to transfer it over to your calculator, but we'll get it done before next week or something. Okay? All right. We're not going to be using it. We're going to do it by hand. I just wanted to show y'all that it would do it in there, and it'll help you check it. Okay, quickly, at the top of your notes, I want you to, let's divide this up into 4 sections. Let's do a greater than right here. Greater than's like this, yes? When you have greater than, you're going to, instead of making a straight solid line, you're going to make a straight dashed line when you graph your line. And since it's greater than, you would shade above. So what do y'all think less than is going to look like? It's going to be the same type of line, so it's going to be a dashed line, but it's going to be shaded below. Okay, what about greater than or equal to? A solid line shaded above. And less than or equal to? Solid line shaded below. So what y'all need to understand is that when you're graphing equations, did y'all hear what I just said? When you're graphing equations, any solution on the line is an answer that would satisfy that equation. So if you had a point like 1, 3, it's saying when x is 1, y is 3 would satisfy that equation. Yes? When you're graphing inequalities, any solution that falls in the shaded region would satisfy that inequality. So for example, if I graph this, if I had a dot right here, it would satisfy that inequality. If it's on the line, who can tell me when that would satisfy? It has to say the or equal to. So over here, if it fell right here on this line, it would not satisfy the inequality because it's only less than. Good question. All right. The first part says, which ordered pair is not a solution of this inequality? How can I test out these coordinates to see if there are a solution of this inequality? Y'all say it again? What is this thing called right here? And what is this thing called? This is an X, this is a Y. So what can I do with those? Plug them in. Okay, so there's space at the bottom right over here, so I'm going to rewrite the inequality. X minus 4y is less than or equal to 7. And I'm going to go test out each of those coordinates to see if they satisfy this equation. Inequality. All right, here we go. First one I'm going to test out is 0, 0. So I have 0 minus 4 times 0 is less than or equal to 7. I need to see if that's true or false. What is 4 times 0? And what's 0 minus 0? Is 0 less than or equal to 7? Yes. So would 0, 0 satisfy this inequality? Yes, but I'm looking for the one that does not. So I'm going to go test this one out. 7, negative 1. This is my x. This is my y. All right. So my x is 7. So I'm done with this one, yes? So 7 minus 4 times, what's y? Negative 1 is less than or equal to 7. All right, can I keep change right here? What's negative 4 times negative 1?
4.
So I have 7 plus 4 is less than or equal to 7. Is that true or false? That is not going to satisfy. So the answer is going to be this one. But let's go test this one out just to make sure. This is an x. This is a y. All right, so I have x, which is negative 4, minus 4 times 3 is less than or equal to 7. Okay, I'm going to change. So I have negative 4. What's negative 4 times 3? It's less than or equal to 7. Negative 12 plus negative 4 is negative 16 less than or equal to 7? So would this point satisfy this inequality? Yes. Do y'all understand what it's asking when it says, will it satisfy it? Yes. If I was to graph this, these 2 points would fall in the shaded region, and this one would not. Make sense? Yes or no? All right, now we're going to learn how to graph the inequalities. There are 2 or 3 different ways you could graph this. Remember I taught you all these different ways to graph? Can you graph with your y equals button? Yes. Can you graph with slope and intercepts? Yes. Can you graph with intercepts? So look at this inequality. What form is it in? Yeah, so could I use my y equals button? Could I use slope-intercept? Okay, so you would pick your favorite way. My honest favorite way is slope-intercept. So I need a slope and a y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? What's the y-intercept? Negative 3. What's the rise and run? 4 over 1. So I go put a dot at negative 3. My rise is 4. My run is 1. And I need at least 3 dots. I like to do as many as I can. Now stop. Do not connect the dots. Look at the inequality. Is it greater than or equal to? So is it going to be a solid line or dashed? Dashed. So when I go do this, I just make sure that I make it look dashed. Since it's greater than, which way am I going to shade?
On top.
Above. So I'm going to shade above. So everything, it's just I shaded light. Can y'all see it now? Everything over here is a solution that would satisfy this inequality. Would this point satisfy that inequality? No, because it has to be greater than. Make sense? If you used your calculator with the app, It's just going to kind of give you an idea of where you should shade. So I would go to y equals. My app is on. I would need to change that button to greater than, which is this one right here. So I would hit F4. I would hit graph, and it would show you that you need a shade above. If I went to the table, it would give me a list of coordinates. It looks like I'm in rounding mode, so I'll get out. There we go. Does that make sense? So your calculator would help you understand where to shade if you don't understand where to shade. But I mean, it's either above or below. Super easy. All right, moving on. Let's do this one at the bottom. Are we ready? I am going to graph this, but first I need to rearrange it. So let's go rearrange it. I have 2y is less than negative x. Now, guys, tell me about inequalities. We've learned how to solve them. What happens if I multiply or divide by a negative? Yes, but what happens to an inequality sign? It has to flip, right? So that is where students mess up the most. If you have to rearrange it and you multiply or divide by a negative, this sign would flip from a less than to a greater than. Make sense? All right, have I multiplied or divided by a negative? So do I have to worry about that? No. I'm going to divide by 2. Did I just divide by a negative? Nope, so I'm good. Y is less than negative 1/2 x. Are we good? I need a slope. What's my slope? Negative 1 over 2. What's my y-intercept? 0. It's showing direct variation, yes? It's passing through 0. All right, so I have a dot here. My rise is going to go down 1, right 2. Will this be a solid line or a dashed line? Dashed. So please make sure when you're doing your assignment that you use a pencil in case you mess up and you need to fix it. Which way am I going to shade since it's less? Here's my inequality right here. It's less than. So where do I shade? It's either above or below. Below. All right, let's look at the next one. Y is less than 1. Do I need to rearrange anything? No. Pretend this says y equals 1. What would my line look like? Go to the 1 and make it cross through the y-axis. Yes? So everybody go to the 1. Right here, yes? Is it going to be a solid line or dashed? Dashed. So here's my dot. Am I going to shade above or below?
It's below.
Why is it below? It's less than. Question. Would the coordinate 2, 3 satisfy this inequality? I'm going to say it again. Would the coordinate 2, 3 satisfy this inequality? No. Would the coordinate 2, negative 3 satisfy this inequality? Yes, because it's in the shaded region. All right, turn the page. Okay, we're going to graph this inequality. Is it in slope-intercept form?
Yes.
Yes. So I need a slope. I need an m. What's my m? 3 over. What's my y-intercept? 1. So I go to the 1. I put a dot. I'm going to go up 3, right 1. Solid or dashed? Dashed. Now, for those of you whose inequality app is not working on your calculator, I want you to know that you can still go to y equals, type in 3x plus 1 and go to the table, and it will at least, what did I just type in? 3x, oh, I didn't type in anything. If you go to the table, it will at least give you the dots to put. Does that make sense? And then from there, you would just determine, do I need a dotted line or a solid, and then where to shade. All right, so since it's y is less than, where am I going to shade? Y'all stop saying right and left. It's either above or below. Below. Yes, it kind of looks like it's to the right, but it's going below the line. So everything over here is a what? Solution. Everything over here is not a solution.
If we get like a line going straight through the x-axis,
Can you say that again?
we get a line through the x-axis.
If it said x equals 5, yes.
We'll skip it lower and
So then you would do left or right. Left would be less than, right would be greater than. All right, let's do the next one. What do I need to do to this inequality? Rearrange it. So I'm going to come up here. I have 4y is less than negative x minus 8. How do I get rid of the 4? Divide everything by 4. So I have y is less than negative 1/4 x minus 2. Did I need to flip my inequality sign? Why? I divided by a positive. Good. Y'all go graph it on your own. If you need to use your y equals button, you can to get your dots.
Can you put it back to regular?
Huh?
Can you put it back to regular, like the regular white equals?
You just don't pick one of those. Let me see. So like, see where it says equals right here? Just go pick equals. So F1. See?
Wow, that's cool.
Would this be a solid line or dashed? Dashed. Should you shade above? Now, again, never look at the original one. Look at the one you rewrote. Should you shade above or below? Below. Okay, everything down here is a solution. Everything up here is not. Okay, I want you guys to try the next one on your own, but let me tell you, when you rearrange the inequality, remember that you have to flip the sign sometimes, yes? So don't go graph it yet, just go rearrange this and let's see if you do it okay. Go, everybody's rearranging. Okay, when you rearranged, you should have moved the x first, yes? Everybody look at the x, it's positive, so how do you move it? You minus, so I have negative 3y is greater than negative x minus 1. Now how am I going to get rid of this negative 3? Divide everything by negative 3. Did I just divide by a negative? So what has to happen to this sign? I got to reverse it, so I have y is less than 1/3 x plus 1/3, yes? Now, personally, I don't like that y-intercept. I probably would use my y equals button on this, just because I'm going to see if they have any really good points, but they might not. So I go to y equals 1/3, tab out x plus 1/3. Go to my table and see how they have that random good point. I would go put a dot at -4, -1, -1, 0. Is there any more good ones? 2, 1. And 5, 2. Could I have used slope-intercept? Yes, but I would have had to start at 1/3 right here, and that would be kind of challenging. Make sense? All right, is this going to be a solid or dashed line? Dashed. Do not look at the original problem. We need to look at the one we rearranged. Since it says y is less than, where am I going to shade? Below. Everything down here is a solution. How about right here? Would this be a solution?
Yes.
Is this solid or dashed? So would this be a solution? No. This right here is not a solution. If it falls on a dashed line, not part of the solution. If it falls on a solid line, yes, it is part of the solution. All right, let's change this one, because we haven't done any solid lines, to greater than or equal to. All right, y'all go graph that one. If it says y equals in a number, it's going to pass through the y-axis at that number. Find -3 on the y-axis, put a dot. It's going to pass through the y-axis. Is it going to be solid or dashed? solid. All right, since it says greater than or equal to, I'm going to shade above. Everything up here is a solution. How about the line? Is it a solution?
Yes.
Is this a solution right here?
Yes.
Yes, because it's a solid line. All right, turn the page. Now, somebody had a good question a minute ago. They said, what if it's x equals and it's a vertical line like this, up and down, then less than would be left and greater than would be right. Make sense? Okay. Now they gave you a graph and they want you to write an inequality. Are y'all ready? What do I need to write an inequality? I need a slope and I need a slope and a y-intercept. All right, let's find the y-intercept. It's right here. What is that value? -2. So my y-intercept is -2. How do I find slope? I need a rise over run. What was my rise? 1. What's my run? Is it positive or negative? Because it's going up and right. All right, so instead of y equals, I need an inequality, yes? So did they shade above or below? So it's definitely y is greater than. Do I need an or equal to sign? Because it's dash. So y is greater than my slope, mx plus v, yes? So 1/2 x plus -2 or -2. Okay, I want y'all to try the next one on your own. Is it really?
Yes. Yeah.
I messed up then. Okay, skip that one. There's a typo at the bottom. It should say student council has at least 30 members made up of 7th and 8th graders. Write and graph an inequality that describes the different possible numbers of 7th and 8th graders in student council. Okay, everybody look at the x-axis and y-axis. One axis is 7th grade, one axis is 8th grade. When it's like that and it's not a total on the y-axis, you're going to write it in standard form. Okay, it's not mx plus v form. So, I've got 7th graders and I've got 8th graders. Let's say, what did they say 7th graders are? This is going to be my x. What are my 8th graders going to be? All right, so how would I write 7th graders plus 8th graders is at least 30? X plus y is greater than or equal to, because at least means it's more than or equal to, right? 30. So do y'all understand that when they have the x-axis and y-axis, and the y-axis is not the total, it's always going to be in standard form. It won't be in mx plus b form. Okay? Can I rearrange this to mx plus b form so that I can graph? Yes. Y is greater than or equal to x. Yeah, I got to move this, so it's -x plus 30. All right, so what's my y-intercept? 30. What's my slope? -1 over 1. It looks like I should probably not count by ones on the x-axis, yes? Y'all want to count by like 3s maybe? We could count by 5s. But, yeah, I could count by 5s. All right. So here's 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. All right. Same thing on the x-axis, 5s. All right, so I'm going to have a dot on the y-axis at 30. Since I counted by 5s and my slope is 1 over 1, can I do 5 over 5? Is that the same thing? Okay. But it needs to be a negative slope, so it's going to look like that. Yes? Oops. Yes, it's or equal to. Don't do what I just did and start drawing your line before you check to see if it's or equal to. All right, which way would I shade? Above, yes? All right, would this be a solution right here? Could I have 5 7th grade members and 10 8th grade members? No. You'll see how this works? Since it says at least 30, that means it can be anything up here because it can be more than 30. All right, I'm going to pass out the. Put your name on your paper at the top, 1 through 15. You are going to see if yes, it's a solution or no, it's not. So look at number 1. That's supposed to say x plus y is less than 3. You would plug in 0 for x and 0 for y, yes? So I'd have 0 plus 0 is less than 3. Is that true or false? So my answer would be yes. Any questions on the top part? On the bottom, 16 through 18, you are matching the inequality with its graph. Please write the letter. If 16 is B, which I have no idea if it is, then you would write B right here. Make sense? Rearrange the equation to y equals and check the slope and y-intercept. Check the inequality sign. Yes, are we good? At the bottom, 19 through 24, you are graphing the inequality. I don't care if you use your y equals button, but please make sure that you flip the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative. It looks like (24) is the only one you're going to have to flip your sign. How did I know that? Because the y has a -1 in front of it. Do y'all see that? 19 and 20 and 21 are already in y equals form, so you don't have to worry about them. 22 is in y equals form. 23, the y has a positive coefficient of 1, so I'm not going to divide by a negative. But 24 has a coefficient of -1, which means I will end up reversing that sign. So circle 24 so you don't forget to reverse your sign. Make sense? All right, get busy.